Hi everyone, it's Jennifer from Auburn Yoga and Pilates. Tonight, as promised, we are going to be doing gentle yoga. So I really hope that you'll follow along. If you have props, please grab them. So we'll get started. So coming into a comfortable seated position, you want to lengthen your spine. Lift up through the crown of your head. Relax those knees down toward the floor by relaxing your hip flexors. If this is uncomfortable for your knees, feel free to put pillows or blocks underneath your knees. And you can also sit on a blanket or a pillow if that helps you to lengthen your spine. And then inhaling through your nose, all the air you can fit. Exhaling slowly out your mouth. And again, inhaling through your nose, all the air you can fit. Exhaling slowly out your mouth. And then one more time, inhaling through your nose, all the air you can fit. Exhaling slowly out your mouth. Now trying to keep that breath, but if possible, changing it to a purely nostril breath. So deep inhale through the nose, deep exhale through the nose. But still, trying to get all the air you can fit in. And then drawing your attention to what you most need today. What do you really need to focus on bringing forth into your 3D today? Try to think about that without judgment. Even if it seems like it's something silly or frivolous, that's okay. Allow yourself to be silly or frivolous. Really think about what you need. You need it, so it's important. And then set that intention to bring it in. Ask the universe to bring it to you or to help you find it. And then close your eyes and really set the intention. What does it look like when you have what you need? As most of you know, it's been shown that our thoughts often do help to frame our reality. So much better to go in with a positive, optimistic outlook when possible. So setting that intention, and we're going to sit in it for 2 minutes. Really trying to allow it to fill us up in a good way. bringing yourself back into the room, switching the cross of your legs when you're ready. And as we often start our gentle yoga classes, circling that spine, trying to energize the back, that chakra system that aligns the spine. Think of it as circles of energy that you're trying to get spinning. And reverse direction. And then holding it in the center and transitioning into an all fours position. So if you have sensitive knees and you're on a hard surface, please put some padding under your knees. Otherwise, those big toes point straight back. Those wrist braces are parallel to the short end of the mat, and that matters because it aligns your shoulders in the appropriate position. Now allow your pelvis to spill toward the floor and your heart center to press forward, lengthening through your front body from your pubic bone all the way up to your collarbone. And then switch the position and flex the spine. Now expand the back body as you contract the front body. And move between cat and cow. So still working on waking up all those different areas of your back. Of course, this should feel differently than when we did our spine circles just a minute ago. Moving with your own breath. And then holding a neutral spine here. Now, really feeling nice and solid with those wrists under those shoulders and those knees under those hips. We're going to come into a spinal balance position. So we're going to extend our right arm forward and our left leg back. Drop that down and switch to the opposite side. So really thinking about getting as much extension in as you can from your foot to your hand. And switch. So this is that same cross-crawling pattern that you used as an infant. So definitely that mind-body connection here. Engaging those abdominals as you extend the arm and the leg to support those organs, to support that back. And then when you've done as many rights as lefts, hold it down. Now, you may or may not want to use some props here to step that right foot forward into a knee down lunge position. So you want that front knee over that front ankle. If it's difficult to get your leg to move forward, using blocks or boxes or books will help. Walking your hands up your leg and getting heavy through your hip. I'm just going to spin around here so that you can see what's going on with the hip flexor in that back leg. So you want to extend the hip flexor in that back leg, but you want to Try to keep a relatively neutral pelvis. That sacrum stays pretty vertical. If you feel comfortable, reach those arms up. So inhaling, the arms and spine long. Exhaling, you want to sink down through those hips. Because we spend so much time seated, it's really important to make sure that you do get extension in through that hip flexor every day. Think of all the time that you spent sitting. Exhale, sweep those hands down. Now you can sweep them down directly to the floor, or you can sweep them down to your blocks. And creeping that foot forward until the leg is long, but you do still want to maintain a micro bend in your knee. You can adjust the height of your blocks, and you want to fold forward over that leg. As you do, you want to pull those toes of the front leg back toward the hips and pull specifically your pinky toe in the direction of your belly button. So sometimes what happens is the pinky toe wants to drift further away than the big toe. Pull it in consciously. Finding a stretch through the back of that leg. Now, hopefully this demonstration works. But what you want to do is, you can see I'm kind of rounded here. What you want to try to do is inhale, lengthen your spine as much as you can. Chin moving toward that front foot, and then exhale, fold over. And it's not that you don't have any spinal flexion. Of course you do. But I just really deepened this pose for myself. So a strong, but not overwhelming hamstring stretch. And then walking that foot in and taking that leg back. And then switching, taking that opposite leg forward. So stepping that left foot forward. And same thing, you want to sink down through those hips, keeping that sacrum pretty vertical and reaching those arms up. So on a totally unrelated note, I am working on a technological solution to being able to see who's commenting and joining through these live videos. It'll probably take me a little while to figure it out, but I'm working on it. I thought I was going to have it working for tonight, but I had a little technology snafu. That way, if you have a question while we do these, you can ask and I can answer you. You can always ask the question and I'll answer later. The problem is I can't answer immediately because I can't see who is commenting at this moment. And then exhale, sweep those arms down and extend that leg forward. Pull the toes back toward the belly button. Especially that pinky toe, directing your pinky toe toward that belly button. Then inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale into the fold. Finding that hamstring stretch. And then inhale, lengthen, exhale, fold. Feel free to keep doing that. Now you don't have to keep your hands on blocks. If you have flexible hamstrings, feel free to bring your hands to the floor. But those blocks are helpful if your hamstrings are being a little resistant to this. Try to keep your hips squared to the short end of your mat. bending that front leg and sliding that leg back, coming back into an all fours position. So from here, we're going to come into a modified side plank pose. So I'm going to mirror you just because of the way that I'm facing so that I end up facing the camera first. From here, you're going to sweep your right arm up and your right leg out. Your lower leg is going to turn into a kickstand so that your shin comes behind you. Your shin is no longer parallel to the long end of the mat, it's diagonal to the long end of the mat. Reach those arms up so that your ribs are stacked, your wrists are stacked, and your shoulders are stacked. And then come back into that all fours position and try the same thing on the other side. So hopefully you can see how that lower leg here is acting as a kickstand, and that's for balance. So everything is two-dimensional except for that lower shin and foot. Coming down and moving from side to side. So lengthen and reach. Exhale, come down. And your breath may not be exactly the same as mine. Inhale long. Exhale down. Keep that going. And when you've done as many rights as lefts, holding it in the center. Moving your wrists slightly ahead of your shoulders. Now modified, you're going to continue to walk those arms forward. Keep the hips over the knees and come into a puppy dog pose. If you don't have any existing shoulder or wrist issues, feel free to curl those toes under, lift those knees and hips, and press back into downward facing dog. Now, it's likely that it's going to be difficult to lengthen both your spine and your legs. Prioritize the spine. If you need to bend the legs, that's okay. But root down through all of those knuckles in each and every finger. Energize those arms so that the arms frame the ears. Your wrists are shoulder distance apart, not wider. And the spine is long. Dropping the knees down or walking those hands up if you were in puppy dog. Feel free to use those blocks if you need an assist, or simply step one leg forward. And then curl that back toe under, take that back foot, step it forward, coming into a forward fold. So you can place your hands on the floor, or you can place your hands on your blocks. Try to relax your neck, try to relax your head. Inhale, flat back, exhale, fold forward. Inhale, sweep those arms up, reaching through those fingers, and especially grounding through those feet. Exhaling those arms down. And again, inhaling those arms up, and right hand grabs left wrist. I will mirror you. Really lengthen that left arm. Long, 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 long. Really stretch out, feet to fingers. And then come over into a lateral stretch. So stretching that side body, making sure you don't collapse through the lower body. Bringing it up to the center, switching sides. So grabbing hold of that right wrist and lengthen, 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 lengthen. And coming over to the side. bringing it back to center. Exhale those arms down. Now you have a couple options. Some people do not enjoy bringing their big toes together in sort of a traditional yoga stance, at least for some styles, not for every style. It's just not comfortable for them. So if that's the case, feel free to keep your ankles underneath your hip joints. If you want to try something a little bit different, you can bring the big toe mounds together. The heels do not touch, but the big toes do. It should require that you engage your inner and outer thighs a little bit more. I'm just going to turn to the side so that you can see what we're doing here. And from here, we're going to do what they call a chair pose. You're going to sink down into your seat. Now modify, reach your arms forward. If you're able to, extend those arms by your ears. So you choose how deep you want your chair to go. You can do just kind of like, you were going to sit in a bar stool fairly high, or you could sit in a little kid's chair, coming up, and then just flowing that chair. So coming back, you can hold if you want, or you can do one breath, one movement. Entirely up to you. This time, hold it up. Once again, inhale those arms up. And again, right hand grabs the left wrist, lengthen, come over for another lateral stretch. So you may notice if you are in a more narrow stance than you usually stand in, that this just feels differently. Up to center, switch sides, grab hold, reach over. And then coming back to center, dropping those arms down. And coming into just really half of a sun salutation, doing the top half. So we'll inhale those arms up. We'll exhale into our fold. Inhale, heart forward, head forward. Exhale, fold forward. And then inhale, sweep those arms up. Exhale those arms down by your side. So trying that again. Moving with your breath. Next time you make it there, holding it up. And standing toward the top of your mat, inhale those arms up, exhale those arms down, heart forward, head forward, fold forward, come back to an all fours position. So again here, you can opt to do a puppy dog and walk those hands forward, or you can walk your wrists just slightly ahead of your shoulders. curl those toes under, press back into downward facing. Now another option, and it is just an option, is to take the right leg and reach the right leg up so that it's an extension of the spine for three-legged dog. Sometimes this is too strong. Obviously, you're shifting the way the weight's distributed. Then we'll step that right leg forward. So maybe you make a stop here in the middle. Maybe you sweep it all the way forward. From here, coming into another knee down lunge, just like we were in before. Exhale those hands down. Now again, you may want blocks to add to the height. You may be perfectly fine without them. We're going to curl the back toe under, lift the back knee, and drop the back foot. Now, your back foot specifically is at a 45-degree angle. So your toes are not pointing straight forward. Your toes are not pointing straight side. They're in the middle. Your heel, ideally, is directly behind the front heel. So if you drew a line straight back, it'd be heel to heel. From here, engage the back inner thigh and come up into Warrior One. So Warrior One, traditionally, is a fairly significant lunge. Now, if it's too much for you, narrow your stance a little bit. If you feel wobbly, then you can take those heels so it's like they're on railroad tracks rather than one behind the other. Now, lengthening that leg, we're going to do a little maneuvering. So, your back foot, it doesn't come perfectly parallel to the short end of the mat, but the toes move closer to the back end of the mat than they were before, but they're still a little bit forward facing, the heel's still behind them. Now the front foot is going to shift just a little so that that front heel aligns with that back arch now. So it's not heel to heel, it's heel to arch. As best you can, try to square your shoulders and your ribs toward the long end of your mat. Hips will not square, but they get squarer. Now, arms come out to the side. Keep head, shoulders, hips stacked. And lunge into Warrior Two. Sometimes people do this. You want to try to avoid that. Try to keep your shoulders directly over your hips. It's going to be more work for that front leg. And lengthen, parallel those feet. Wide stance, feet parallel. You choose how wide. Come into a forward fold. Now, once you're here, you may decide you need to take your feet closer together. You may decide you need to take your feet further apart. Of course, maybe you would just try it. Stay here with your hands under your shoulders, or walk your hands back, fingertips pointing forward, letting the crown of your head go toward the floor. Now, it may not reach the floor. That is okay. You're finding the place that is comfortable for you. And then walk those hands under the wrists again, under the shoulders. And now we're going to walk to the back of the mat. And drop that back knee down. so that we're in that knee down lunge position that we started off in on the other side. We got there a little bit differently. Inhale, sweep those arms up. Exhale, take those hands down to blocks or to the floor. Take that back foot and drop it at a 45-degree angle. Heel to heel alignment. Coming up, warrior one. So you're trying to spin your hips and your shoulders toward the short end of your mat as best as you can. You're engaging your back inner thigh to help facilitate that. And lengthening that leg, and then again doing that little movement. So the back toes move a little closer to the short end of the mat, but the heel is still behind it. Heel to arch alignment. Then spin your ribs, spin your shoulders, come into Virabhadrasana 2, which is just warrior 2. So this is obviously a strong pose. Warrior. So you should feel rooted down, solid in your position. Building strength. And coming up, paralleling your feet, and again, folding forward. Just like last time, adjust your feet in or out, walk your hands back if you'd like. Walk those hands back under those shoulders. Walk those feet in. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep those arms up. Exhale those arms down. Starting off in a standing balance. So if you need to grab hold of a wall or a chair or something along those lines, please do. From here, what we're going to do is take the right leg, I'll mirror you, and lift it just into a standing balance. So ideally, what you want to do here is try to get 90 degrees at your hip and at your knee. Dropping down, rooting down through those feet, trying the other side. So, same thing, left leg up. If you're grabbing hold of something, try a very light touch, or try, it'll be there to catch me if I get wobbly. But try to really work on those subtleties. What are you squeezing to help stay here? So working muscles in your feet, your ankles, your leg, your torso. A lot is going on here, even though it looks like we're still. Oops, maybe not. And then dropping that leg down. And then we're going to take that right leg into, we'll start with a modified tree pose. So keep your hips squared to the front. Externally rotate that right leg. From here, inhale, sweep those arms up. Coming into that yoga mudra where your index fingers come together and your fingers clasp. Lengthen and come over to the right. So lateral stretch with a grounded tree. Bringing it up to center, dropping it down, and switching sides. So, the ball of the foot stays planted, the heel lifts, inhaling those arms up, and exhaling over. Coming up to center, exhaling those arms down. And then, coming back to the top of the mat, inhale, sweeping those arms up, exhale, sweeping those arms down. Heart forward, head forward, fold forward, coming back to an all fours position. And I say almost because I didn't forgot about three-legged dog on the other side. So modified, go into a puppy dog, or walk those wrists slightly forward, curl those toes under, lift those knees and hips, and lift the left leg. Drop that leg down, drop those knees down, and coming into a seated position. So coming into some seated stretches because time flies when you're having fun. I hope you're having fun. So, knees pointing upward, fold forward. So, pretty much the same position that we just did standing moments ago. So see where your torso drops to. You may stay fairly high. You may be able to get your belly almost to the floor. Coming up, bringing the bottom of those feet together for butterfly. Those knees come out wide and gently pressing those legs toward the floor. Coming up, bringing those feet flat to the floor and coming back into a supine position with legs bent and feet planted. If you have a block or a fairly firm pillow, please grab it. So people have asked me about props. So I'm going to look into prop bundles that you could buy if you were interested. We could do curbside delivery. But I know some people, now that you're practicing at home, aren't really sure, what to get if you don't have it. Taking that block if you have one, but if you don't, you know, making do with what you have, you can do a low, a medium, or a high height. So I'm going to place it on a medium height for me, but of course you choose the height that works for you. You want to place that prop right at the back of your hips, so it should be comfortable. You've got that little flat spot, that sacrum at the bottom of your spine. That's where it's resting. So not a real deep hip flexor stretch. I'm hoping you felt more when we were in a knee down lunge, but this is a release. It should just release that area. And bringing that knee in, lifting that leg up, flexing that foot, pointing that foot, bringing the knee back to the chest, dropping it down. Other side, knee in, extend, flex, point, bringing it in, bringing it down. And then rooting down through your feet, lifting your hips so you can slide that prop out. And then extending those legs. You want to place your feet wider than your hips. You want to allow your arms to fall by your side with your palms facing upward. That is going to put your shoulders into external rotation and hopefully facilitate the opening of the front body. Let your breath be fluid and deep. Notice the rise and fall of your belly, the rise and fall of your chest. Allow your arms and your legs to melt into the mat. Trying to relax completely. And then beginning to wiggle your fingers, your toes. Eventually bending your legs and bringing your feet flat to the floor. Eventually rolling to one side and lifting up into a seated position. Inhale, sweeping those arms up. Exhaling those hands down. The spirit in me honors the spirit in you. Namaste. We really appreciate those of you who like and comment and share. It lets us know that you're watching and that you're finding the classes helpful. So please continue to do that. And I love the pictures. Elsie, if you're still watching, I hope you post the picture of your cat that you sent me ready to do yoga. I think people will get a laugh out of it. Some of us need a laugh these days. So I hope that you are all doing well. Take care, and we'll see you back on the mat soon.